You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Okay, babe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that should be good.
I didn't even see it was going.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did it manually instead of with the stupid phone.
All right.
I think it's time for a new GoPro.
Really?
No.
Did we already wear that one out?
We didn't wear that one out.
We've been going like pros.
It's so clever.
Thank you.
Look at you.
Clever lady.
Lady.
A clever one over here.
But here we are. And just like normal, I will
Just like normal?
adjust everything even after the fact.
I do too.
Right?
It's normal.
Think I'm ready to go. And then as soon as we push record and start recording, then it's like, I'm going to adjust all of these
This no longer
things.
works for me.
Right?
This worked for a moment and now I'm ready to. So what do you
Adjust
think
it.
you're more afraid of? Do you think you're more afraid of change or immobilization?
Immobilization. What do you
That's
mean?
Like how change is scary, but also commitment's scary. So need the change.
But
When things feel frozen, you need it to change. But when things are changing, you need it to feel like
so which am I
consistent.
more afraid of?
Yeah, what do you think you're more afraid of? I mean, I'm definitely projecting on you right now, but
Okay.
I'm also able to see in you what I see in me. So that still means I can see it in you.
I feel like I'm probably more afraid of that frozen, stuck, not
Yeah.
being able to move feeling. What do you think? Is that the same for you? Or are you afraid of the change? Deep breath into the microphone.
Sorry, deep. You want me to breathe into the
No,
microphone?
I just realized I
like,
was holding my breath.
I don't know. I think they both are equally prominent in my space and they just take turns. It's the double bind that I do.
So you're not sure which one is more?
It depends on which one I'm feeling. Whatever one I'm feeling is the one that is more.
Okay. Whichever one's
If things are
present in the
changing, I
moment.
need it to be still. And if things are too fucking still, like we need to mix it up in here. So it's whatever I'm feeling is the one that I don't want to feel.
So see, you're super present.
Exactly.
You're present with your emotions. It's good. It's
Yeah.
good stuff.
These are really difficult with the headphones in it.
The glasses with the headphones
Yes. I'm trying.
probably doesn't help you get some sinus pressure either.
It's fine. It's fine.
We're healthy though.
Yeah. Doing
Last
good.
week we were struggling to walk up the stairs. This week we did not struggle very hard.
Well,
Kind
I
of.
didn't notice it. So last week I was like, Jesus. So I'm going to need a minute in this. So yeah.
Yeah, we're
doing
healthy.
good.
We're healthy and we're back at it.
I was going to start dancing and then I realized I should not.
No.
Yeah.
You can. It can be a dance podcast.
It's okay.
All about Steph dancing.
It's not going to.
I think it's a good idea.
No, let's just move on. Oh, God. Let's just move on.
What happened?
The pressure is real. So it's pressing. It's pressing
You
on
don't
my
have to wear the headphones.
Then I'll look silly without it.
No way. I think you'll look just fine with
Like
them.
just one of them with them and one of them with that. It's fine. It's fine. Don't draw attention to it. God.
Okay, stop
now I'm like,
looking
am I
at the
supposed to
headphones.
take it off? Now what am I supposed to
Nope,
do?
everything's under
I'm sitting there, what am
control.
I supposed to
Everything's
do?
fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. It's totally fine.
Yes.
What's that
That
noise?
wasn't me.
What's
It's
going
you.
on?
It's you doing that. Oh.
Something's touching something.
Yeah, it was me. Is it better? It
all
was
better.
totally me. I
all
mean,
better.
you. Yeah.
So here we go. Episode 233, I think.
It's 2:33.
I think so. I think this is episode 233.
Should I look and know what episode it is when we start? Or
No.
are you okay with doing that?
I'm fairly certain it's episode 233, but I don't know for sure. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, because who knows if another one will come out before this.
Right?
That could happen.
That
Not
very
very
well
often.
could happen.
It's happened a time or two, but I think only a time or two.
A spot or two,
Yeah.
a
What?
time or two.
You're making fun of me and I don't get
I'm not
it.
making
Which
fun of
makes it
you.
even better for you and worse for
I'm
me.
not making fun of you. So we recently started an Instagram account for the podcast,
Yes.
and our goal was to get 100 followers. And then we're going to start doing some fun Instagram live interviews with different people that we want to actually talk to.
And we hit it.
We did hit it. So thank you everybody that has gone
Having
on and
fun.
followed us on Instagram. It's not too late. You can still get in. It turns out they don't just stop you at 100. So we can actually,
we can have a few more.
we can have some more followers besides 100. But I'm excited. Who is somebody that you want to talk to? That, because the idea is we've been wanting to do a bunch of interviews with people, but we really like doing them in person just for a bunch of different reasons. And rather than try to do like the Zoom podcast interview episode that everybody does, there's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. But I don't like them. I don't like doing interviews over Zoom. I don't like the technical aspects of it, as well as like the impersonal aspects of it and things like that. And so rather than try to like do those, we're just going to do fun and easy Instagram interviews and use Instagram as the little platform to do some fun interviews. They're not going to be as long as like a full, they might be an hour long, who knows? But more or less, it's just kind of a fun way to connect with some of the people that we would love to have on the podcast, but obviously they don't live close enough and or in the same state. So who's somebody that you want to do?
Well,
Who's somebody that you would like to interview and have on the podcast?
Well, I just got new information. Like I
What
knew
was
we
it?
were going to do the lives, the Instagram, but I also thought that we were going to start doing like the Zoom ones or Skype or whatever people use. I don't know.
No.
So that's brand new information, which means that the information that I have given to a couple, no, just one, the talking about a Instagram live was false. And so I need to
Did you let somebody know that
retract
we were going
my
to do some actual
previous
Zoom?
information and be like, I turns out I was
can.
mistaken.
We can,
Yeah,
for sure,
it's
but
just like I thought we were going to do that and
no.
not or
No, we're going to do...
or in lieu of.
In lieu of
In
doing
lieu of.
that, we're going to just do those little fun interviews on Instagram.
Well,
So,
shit.
sorry.
I'm gonna have to fix that. Yeah. Okay. Hold on, my itches. So people that I would want to. Well, I've got a couple of people in mind that we're reaching out to, but I'm thinking you're talking about more difficult to reach people. Is that where you're going?
It doesn't
with that?
matter, yeah.
I don't know where you're going.
Literally just people that we want to have on the podcast, but that aren't here,
Yeah.
you know, that live close enough to come out and be on the podcast.
Okay.
That's all.
So you want to do one with Brandy and her wife Catherine
Yes.
and the twins, but
Yeah.
you want them in person.
Ideally.
So we'll start off. It's official now out there. You have is it like the UFC? If we just put it out there, they have to respond.
Like if we call them out.
Yeah, but in a nice way, of
We're not
course. And
calling them
not in a
out.
fight. Just be like, hey, we're putting it out there.
Yeah.
For the Carlisle compound out there that they have. You know, do you want to do some
We'll
Instagram
come to-
lives?
we'll come to
and
you.
then we'll go to you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll germ free, and then we'll go to you, and then we can do that. So that's the thing, right?
I think so.
I think everybody who's listening needs to hashtag Brandy Carlisle on this and tag her and put it out there so we get a response. And we can you can talk to her and her wife, Catherine, and the twins, because I'll just
Sit there and boob the whole time.
I don't know. We'll see.
You'll be fine,
be
especially
fine.
if it's only, you know, on Instagram.
Yeah.
So it'll be fine.
'Cause we know that I am, I'm quick-witted, and I'm like, when you put me on the spot, I react with just brilliance.
You're very quick-witted.
Yeah, so I won't freeze at all.
Not at
'Cause
all.
I mean, you just asked me who I want to talk to, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we're talking like people, or like, do they have the blue check at the end of their name? Like, what are we talking about? Hold on.
You mean like actual people?
Like-
that's the question. Who do I
Like people that I
actually
can
wanna
call
talk to?
right now and say, hey,
What about Angel, our dog?
or yeah, like we can have her on.
We could do an Instagram live with Angel.
We should.
Watch her sleep.
We just bring out like little bananas, and she'll be all excited. She likes the bananas.
You're cute. I want to have not the very first one. Who knows? It'll be the first one. But there's another podcast. It's called Mormons on Mushrooms, and I want to talk to those people, the guys that host that show and do that show. I originally was hoping that they lived in Utah. Turns out they don't. You can apparently be Mormon or have been Mormon and not live in this state. So that'll be fun.
That'll be fun.
Talk to them a little bit and learn about. It's a great name for a podcast, first off, but yeah, there's lots more there too. So I don't know. We'll see.
Exciting.
It is going to be,
and
exciting.
It'll be an Instagram live only, not followed up with the possibilities of Zoom or Skype interviews.
Probably not.
Okay, now we are on the same page.
Well, we'll bring it up with the producer and see what they think.
What do you think,
right,
producer?
They're shaking their head. No Zoom. Why not? Why can't? Oh, apparently they don't want to do it. Yep, they've got too much on their plate and they can't figure out how to make the video quality as good as they would like. I know.
At least we asked.
Yeah.
So it'll be exciting.
So this episode, Stephanie has a very specific thing that she wants to discuss. Something very specific that she wants to bring up. And I don't know what it is. I have next to no idea what it is. Huh? Well, I have an idea of the...
You don't know because I haven't said.
Yeah. I have no idea.
You are about to be blindsided. Ha ha.
No, I'm not.
I don't know.
Blindsided.
It's trigger warnings.
Is it?
It's gonna be
trigger warnings ahead.
Get them out. I have all this momentum to talk about it, but whether or not it comes out, we'll see. This might be an episode of potential trigger warnings, and the trigger warning is Stephanie just rambles and never gets to the fucking point because she's scared. That could be it.
You'll be right. It's just me.
Oh, yeah.
You're just talking to me. Mm-hmm. Imagine we're sitting at the kitchen table. No, we're not imagining that. Okay. Imagine whatever that is that you want to imagine.
So it's that fear comes up, and it's like, as soon as that fear starts pulling up, I'm like, I need to be in control of this situation. So don't tell me to imagine something. I need to tell you what we're imagining.
Yes, do tell.
It's a control. Sorry, I got pulled off. It's a control thing. I need to have control in this moment because I'm scared.
Okay.
And so.
You have complete control.
What did you just look at?
Just looking at the camera, making sure we're still recording.
Okay. It was like, you are in control for the next 5 minutes. There's not even a clock over there.
I know.
But I thought you looked at a clock.
Hold on. It is now. Oh, yep. 5 minutes.
Do I sound as congested as I think I sound?
You sound a little congesty. I think I sound a little congesty too. But that's okay.
Are we a little nasally?
We're a little nasally. You know what we never did last week? We were supposed to talk about Fargo. And I was going to do the majority of the episode in my accent.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen.
Yeah. Too bad. Let's not do it this week.
Okay. We're not going to talk about that this week. So
were you just trying to segue into Fargo?
No, I was.
Is this your avoidance?
Maybe.
Okay. Oh, do you want to go Fargo?
No.
Have you seen Fargo?
This isn't my avoidance. This is my helping you, in a sense, to feel relaxed and safe.
Did you watch the show? It's a very calming effect.
Why are you turning your back to the camera to drink?
Take a drink because I don't want to be like...
Yeah, only, proper women never drink on camera.
It's either full frontal at the camera or to the side. Otherwise, I'm going to hit the mic and spill, so I have to go left or right. And I figure right is just a little, I don't know, nicer to go instead of...
So yeah, me bringing up Fargo is just trying to help calm your nerves.
I love that you used Fargo as a... It's cool.
As a nerve calmer.
No, a what? A NERM?
A NERM.
I like the NERM. It's a NERM. Here's your NERM.
Hello, NERM. NERM.
So, I don't even know where to start because it's an ongoing thing.
Okay.
It's been going on for the last few months. It's where the trigger hit that started spiraling me out, but I didn't have the understanding. Like, it's been building, but the understanding of what the actual trigger was, like, I can go back and remember the trigger moment. So it's funny that I didn't connect it. It just got to where things were so bad that I couldn't even remember the trigger moment. I'm getting nauseous.
Can you remember the trigger moment now?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? What triggered you?
So you don't like my rambling because you just freaking took me out.
I don't know what's best, babe. Is best for me to just sit and listen?
No,
and
why would
nod?
you ever try that?
Oh.
So I'm a little feisty. I'm afraid. So now I'm going to be a little attacking. You're safe. I'm
You're
sorry.
okay. I know I'm safe. I'm just trying to help, right? Is it to help
I don't know.
give you direction and pull some things out
I
of you?
think if
or-
I'm mid-sentence and I'm actually talking, maybe just see where it goes. And if I'm sitting here like,
Copy.
then give it a shot. I don't know. Or I don't know. Do what you think's best. And I'll either accept it gracefully or I'll bite your head off.
Okay.
You'll know by my reaction. I will do that for you. This is how I help you.
Not nerve-wracking.
It's not. It's like you're gambling. You like to live on the edge, don't you, Mr. Adrenaline Junkie? Here's the ultimate ride. Let's
hear it. I'm going to be listening.
The triggering moment that was very bad was coming across the package of red Solo cups that I have in my closet. And that brought up an immense amount of shame and guilt that was too much for me to carry.
The red Solo cups. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you're going to want to know why. I'll get to that.
It's okay.
So it sent me on a spiral that has been very, very difficult. And it's brought up things in its wake that I didn't even foresee, and things that are their own event without the weight of this triggering moment. But now that I've been in it and I'm working, I can see the connections, and I couldn't see them. So it spun out because it did the damage, the trigger, and it put me in that space, but I couldn't sit there because it was already fucked up. But if I stayed with that in my awareness had to kick it out because I couldn't handle it. And then I guess it needed to wait. So I recently was re-triggered by the trigger moment that happened to you, and it brought it to my attention, and I was like, this is where it started. This is where this started. But I still didn't have enough information of why it was so monumental. So I'm going to get there.
No, you recently got triggered from the memory of the original trigger of the red Solo cups.
It came up again.
Okay.
And I will explain that. And then that's how I connected it of like, oh, this is what started my tailspin. That has been a very, very difficult tailspin. Again, it's going to be trigger warning. I'm going to talk about a lot of different things. So, and then I had a woman's call the other day, and I'm also have started working with them. I'm just going to call her my magic woman, my witchy woman. That's helping me, and we're going to get ready to go into some deeper dives and some journeys to help process a lot of the trauma that I have in my body. I did not know that this was what was going to come up. I did not know that this was now going to be my focal point. So we've been talking every week and in between and working, and we're getting ready for a really big session. I'm not sure how much I'll go into on that with this, but she's really giving me a lot of her time, and I'm excited and I'm terrified. But
she's helping you a lot, though.
She's helping me a lot. And so it started to it's like one of those things where once you make the decision, things start happening.
Yeah.
And so stepping into it, things are starting to happen. And I didn't see it. And I wasn't even sure. She told me the last call that she can see changes in me. She can already see it. And I'm like, I'm just going to say thank you and take that because I don't. And then there was another call that I did where we dove into some, each of us dove into some personal things. And I wrote it down and I got stuck. And then I decided to share, thinking that I was just sharing my my feelings, my shame, my failure, I knew that nobody was going to relate because I just chalk it up to me being this pathetic failure on it. But it came out, and I'm grateful it did. But when it came out, there was only 3 of us on the call, and one of the women, I'm going to be very, very careful because I will get into details about my story, but I won't into hers. But she related, and she understood, and she, like, with her story that is different in, I don't know how to describe this. Different experiences, different events, different locations, but it's the same. It's the same. She mirrored her story back, and it resonated. Like, there was a part of me when I said that she clicked, and she didn't feel alone, and it set her free in that moment, and she felt the same depths that I felt. And then that's when, like, I realized, oh, this is something we need to talk about, because this isn't my failures and me being pathetic. This is an effect of the amount of abuse and trauma that happened that I didn't see. And maybe people are talking about, and I hope they are, but I haven't heard it. So I'm going to talk about it because I didn't know. I thought this was just more of how horrible I was, not that this is an effect. This is an effect. So having all of those pieces, and then I can see how it's tying in to so many aspects that are overwhelming for me right now. And so there's my caveat. And now I'm going to get into details if you want.
Heck yeah.
I had been trying to get rid of some things and work on, like, smudging the house, and I felt a lot of relief, and I was able to go into like our downstairs. We have so much shit from my old house that's in there, and then stuff from my parents that
we have a storage room in the basement that's got a bunch of stuff in it.
Not just my stuff, it's stuff that my parents have, like, passed on, and I have grandparents' stuff in there. So the amount of weight with everything means that storage room is full. I went through and did a really good smudging a while ago and just, like, cleared out, and I spent a lot of time in that room. And when I went in there, it felt free, and I made some progress in there, which was cool. And then it was enough. I knew it was time to get out, but just having that realization of the energy that I had cleared up in there. And then I wanted to try it in my closet. I didn't spend enough time in my closet. My closet was heavy, but I still went in, and I was going. And then I came across the pack of red Solo cups that I've had in there for a few years now. What was supposed to happen with those is our son wanted to do a lemonade stand. And there's a lot of weight here, so I hope that when I go into this that I'm not immediately dismissed over it not being a significant thing, because it's not that makes it significant. It's all of the weight behind it and everything that came. And so a lemonade stand was really, really significant. He wanted to do it. And I never got around to it. He wanted to, and I kept coming up with reasons because I need to sit out there with him. I need to help him and all the things. I can't just let him, like, go do it. I have to be able to help him at this point in time, which I didn't. Or I could have. Who knows, right? All of that, I can't change that. My reason was I needed to be there when he did it. Even though we have, like, the safe neighborhood, I wanted to be there with him. I wasn't going to have him out there doing it by himself. And I needed to be there. And so I kept saying no and no and no. And he kept asking. And I finally decided I could say yes. So first thing I had to do was get to the store and purchase the things, which was the lemonade, the cups. So just all the things that would go with it. And then that exhausted me. And then that took up my energy. So then energy for it, I kept pushing it off. We ended up drinking all the lemonade in the house just over time, and I never took him out for the lemonade stand. And at one point he had an emotional thing. We had been fighting or something. I don't remember what happened, but he sat down and he was telling me all the ways that he was grateful for me and all the ways that he loved me.
Recently?
I know this was a few years ago.
Okay.
He was little. We were still way taller than him. He was like not even hitting my chin yet. And he was sitting there and telling me the things he's like that I had done for him. And one of the things that he had said was like, bought me stuff so I could do a lemonade stand. He's like, you did that. You saved me. You did that. And I just remember hearing that in the lemonade stand. I'm like, and I haven't done that. So I have these, and I've noticed that every single time I see them, I feel bad. Every single time I'm like, you didn't do that for him. You didn't do that. And sometimes it's harder than others. I can't use them because I'm still saving them for when I can do right by him. I can't get rid of them. I can't do anything. They just have to sit there. And a while ago, I saw them, and it was just too much. And I really don't want to cry. Because I don't want to get...
You want me to get those tissues?
Over there. I don't want to get distracted by not being able, needing to blow my nose and, the mess that comes with tears. So I want to be able to hold that in so I can get my words out and not have to...
Well, it's okay if you do, obviously. And I can grab tissues.
So things have been eventful. Things have been challenging. Lots of people are feeling a lot of things. I've been feeling a lot of things. But when I saw those, everything was too much. And all I could see was all the ways that I felt him and that I felt all of our kids. And I was seeing Stevie being a little girl looking out the window wanting to go play, but I didn't have the energy to go outside. And the way it was to just... I didn't understand all of it at that point, but everything caught up, and I decided that it was really hard to not think of how better off everybody would be without me holding everybody back. And I was trying really hard to be positive, and things would come into my head. Not like I'm not like making plans or any of that, but I would visualize my death. And it was surprising because it would just keep popping up. I would keep seeing ways that I could do it immediately. And I was like, trying to get it out of my head. And I had to constantly try to not feel those things and stop myself from thinking those and try and say positive things and not keep seeing, because the pain would get so bad. And all I could see is how of a detriment I am because how much I felt my kids. It was just really, really heavy. And so I've been carrying that and trying to find reasons to be okay. Find reasons to be of value, to give enough. And I don't have a lot in me to give. And so the phrase that came up, I'll just read it because it's not even a lot. It's just a little bit. She asked, we were talking about how our voices and talking about what we want and where we are and going for things. And it was liberation. And liberation happens to be one of the words that I have been holding on to for I think 2 years now. I've got a set of words. And liberation is one of them. And I keep finding my liberation. And so that was big. And the question was, what is in the way of your liberation? And how can I create the optimal environment to thrive? And then I wrote a fear. Oh, I'm jumping. 1 second. So what hit me the other night when I was able to tie it back to that because we were fucking watching Shark Tank. And they had the little boy that came on with his dad.
The little boy in his lemonade stand.
In his lemonade stand. That had found a way to market it, and just he made a lemonade stand into something that they were renting to other people and setting up. And he had this dad who not only helped him with a lemonade stand, he helped him with a business and took him on Shark Tank. And it was this little 10-year-old boy who was so excited and had his parents believe in him. And I'm like, I fucking hate myself. And then after that, while I'm trying to like hold everything together and try so hard, and at this moment it's like hard to, like, anything is too much. I just have to try and hold myself together because I know, obviously, that if I wasn't here, that's going to be another challenge. Another burden that I'd put on these kids. And I think that kept a part of it because I'm like, you don't get a break. You don't deserve a break. If you're not here, you don't have to feel it, and that's just more. So you have to sit here and you have to feel everything because you deserve to be punished. And then we watched another show where it showed this little boy that was left home alone, or in the guest house, the guest book thing, where the parents went out and did things. And I'm just like seeing how these kids are being. I'm like, that's me. I'm horrible. Even though I didn't do that, obviously. We didn't go.
Keep talking. I'm going to grab tissues.
So, with as hard as that hit me, I remembered that part in the closet where I saw the cups. I'm like, this is where it started. This is where that was my trigger, which made it so I couldn't stop thinking about my death. Oh, I didn't deserve to be here. We just got really sick, and that was actually beneficial because that hit, and I'm like, I'm not gonna think that fucking shit right now. I'm gonna think positive. I'm healthy. And when that happens, it hits this part of your brain that says, oh yeah, you don't want to be done. You don't want to be done. And that also brought up a thing at one point where I said, I don't want to be done. I just don't know what to do next. I don't want to be done. I know that I can still give, but I'm just so worthless. There's nothing there. And so now we go to the part about liberation and what is in the way of my liberation. And I said, fear. Fear of what my existence is. Fear of my existence causing pain for others. My freedom chaining others. And then my freedom is not worth condemning others. And then I wrote, I can give myself, but I don't deserve to heal myself. And then I just saw it all. And that's the thing that I had never seen before, on how I've been tired my whole life. So how much weight, how exhausting it was to be in that abusive marriage where I was always scared for them and trying to keep them alive, and I was also trying to keep me alive, and how that took everything I had. And when I wasn't fighting for survival for all of us, I didn't have any fucking energy left for anything else, which meant I wasn't taking my kids to the park, which meant I wasn't doing these fun things and being a good mom. I was just fucking exhausted all the time. And then you have to find things to keep going, to keep surviving. So when it got to where I could get out of the house and get a job, it didn't matter what. If I was fucking cooking dinner, if I did anything, it took everything I had. And then I could see my entire life. of every abusive relationship of growing up. And this is like, I'm like, this is going to cause shit right here, but I'm going to say it. I grew up in a very abusive home, and I'm not allowed to talk about that because that brings shame, and I'm being hurtful, and look how everybody, like, fuck that. I grew up in a very abusive home. I grew up watching my mom be fucking exhausted. I was always exhausted. I never had the energy, and I went to it. And so now that I'm out, and I've been out, and I have these kids that are safe from that, and they want to do a lemonade stand years ago that I couldn't even fucking do. I still never found the energy. I never learned how to have that energy. I couldn't instill that amount of being so fucking dead inside, because it takes everything. It takes everything to get ready to go do something stressful. It takes all your energy, and then when you do that, you're wiped out. And to find a moment where you take for yourself and joy, then here's the shame, because you don't deserve it, because you let your kids stay in this horrible atmosphere, because your kids got hurt, because you didn't get them out, because of all the damage that is there, and you have all that weight. And then even if you do get them out, if you're one of the lucky ones that you find the strength to get your kids out, because that's hard. That's so hard. And then you still don't have the energy, and you have all the shame. And then if you're happy, who the fuck, you don't deserve to be happy. Look at all the time that your kids were there. Look at all the pain that they've been through. Look at everything. The energy should go to the lemonade stands. It should go to get them outside, and you didn't do that. So here you are in life later on, and you want to try and be okay. You don't know all that's there. You don't know that all that weight's there. You don't know all that weight's there. I remember when I first started at the sheriff's office, and there was that part of me that had the hope. I'm like, he's not going to hurt us now, because we're going to be around all of these cops and law enforcement, and he knows that I will talk now because I'm going to be surrounded by all these people, and he can't control my actions. So and they're safe because that's what the police do, and that's what everybody does. Like, if they hear you're in trouble, they're going to come and help you. I had a moment of help, which is funny because I've had cops show up to the house, and not once did they fucking help me until there was way too obvious and it was too messed up. So there was that one time, and then I actually said something and they went to jail. I was afraid to talk before, and a cop told me, well, I can see you're really upset, so why don't you just tell me why you're so pissed? Because then it was my fault and I couldn't talk. I had times that I couldn't stop from coughing and trying to clear my throat and speak because I had been choked. There's no way they don't see it. They don't see what they want to see. So I was left alone, but I still somehow had this hope. And there was another dispatcher in there who left when I was still there. And I'm glad she left. She was a trainer, and she took a call of a woman who was afraid, who had just been assaulted by her partner. And her response was on how she had called before. And she's like, this is your own downfall. You should leave. You don't have to stay. If you're going to stay, you deserve that. And I remember, I can't even describe how hopeless I felt in that moment. Like, oh, I can't even say anything here. I still have to keep the secret. I still have to try and deal with this stuff and live. Even here, it made me better. I made sure that every woman that I talked to, that I didn't make her feel like shit, and that I gave that attention, that yeah, she can't get out, because I understood what it was like to not get out. And because I knew how to talk to abusive men, if they took the phone from her, I knew how to talk to them. I knew how to stroke their ego to make it safe and keep them calm until the cops got there. So it made me better. And for the women out there that are hearing that, not all of them are like that. So call and keep calling and do whatever you have to do. That woman was broken on so many different levels. But that goes into the weight of helplessness. So what came for me after, and the realization is stuff that women need to hear, is that when all of your energy goes to exhaustion, trying to survive and keep your kids alive, even though when you're out of it, you don't know the shame that comes after that. All you can see is how you failed, how you didn't get them out soon enough, or you're still there. You're still there. You haven't got it out, and how he's convinced you that it's your fault, that you make him mad. It's because of this. And how he's probably said, as mine did, that I'm fucking them up, that I'm ruining everything. He used the scars on my wrists for the ways that I used to try and relieve pain when I was a kid, to tell me that all he had to do if I left, he would take the kids, and all he had to do was show them those scars, and I was an unfit mother. And so everything was, he would take the kids, and I knew that if they were with him, I knew that couldn't happen. So the weight that comes after, if you get out for whatever reason, or if you're there, is that you are the fault for everything. And then it's not the abuse anymore. It's all the ways that you couldn't stop anything, and that you had nothing to give, or that you were angry. It's all the ways that you tried to recuperate, and that you failed in between the sessions. Those are loud. Nobody talks about that. And if they do, I never heard it. I didn't know the weight of in between trying to keep everybody alive. I didn't know the weight that would come after. I didn't know that things just don't magically get better, and that you're exhausted, and that there is so much work that still needs to be done. You think if I can just get out of that, then everything's going to be okay. You need therapy. You need help, because there's so much. I had no idea. I thought I just deserved to die, and I was trying so hard to not. But at the same time, I was also looking for ways to just let it happen so I could be done, because I didn't deserve it. And then I didn't deserve that, because that was still a release. And I don't know where to go from here. I just know that I'm not shying away from my responsibility of this all. I'm not saying it's okay that I was unable to be a more present mom. I'm not saying it's okay that I didn't do things, or that there were times that I was selfish and had to push everybody away so I could have a minute for me and make it about me and my healing. I punished myself for that, but I know that that's my responsibility, that I could have went to therapy, and that I could have started seeking out help more, but I could not in those moments, and I could not do more than I could do at that time. So it's not my fault, and I'm not alone, and I want other women to hear that. Like, there's more that comes. There's more after the fact, and that you just don't see because you were too busy trying to survive. And that weight is so fucking heavy. We need help for those moments of when we had nothing left and when we didn't have anything to give. We need help for those moments when we feel like all we did is fail in between, and everything that we didn't do, and all the ways that we feel like we're failing now. And if you're at work and you're gone all the time because you're trying to provide for them, you're going to turn that into a failure, and it's not. And if you are home and you have all this time and you can't cook a meal, or you can't take them to the park, and you can't do a lemonade stand, you're going to fucking hate yourself. And it's a lie. It's a lie. And you need support, and you need love, and I want to give it, and I want them to hear that. I think so many people need to hear this. And I hear it to a point now, as well as a child, that I look at my mom. Really, she had nothing left. She didn't have anything else to give. That's why she stayed. That's why they stayed. how I'm probably going to fucking blow everything up right now because anybody that hears this and goes back, I'm going to be the traitor of the family. I'm causing the pain. This is going to be too much pain for everybody to handle. This is going to be too much pain for my dad. This is going to be too much pain. I did this. So I'm basically fucking lighting a match right now. And just having to be okay with it and saying, I can't bear that weight anymore. But I understand why she didn't leave. I understand why. But I also don't have the energy to stay in those spaces anymore. I don't even know. I'm rambling. I'm bouncing all over because this is so big. And there's so many different ways that it's big that I can't hit them all right now. And it just sounds chaotic because I'm like, this is big and I want it to be heard. This is big. When you're a spouse or a new partner, however, of somebody that's been in that kind of an abusive situation, and it doesn't make sense why they're the way they are. I just feel like there's so much here. And I don't know the right words, and I hope that I've got them out. Because it's so much more than the physical and emotional. It's so much more than the acts of violence. It's so much more than the abuse. It's what happens when it's not happening. Like, nobody talks about that. I don't know what to say. When I realized this, it was when that other woman on the call understood, because that was her life. Understood what those moments felt like. Understood of why she commented on how she feels the same now. She's also out of that relationship. She also took her kids away from that and is in a new, happier life. Yet she is still struggling in those moments and still trying to find and how bad she feels because of all the ways that we fail after. It's like, oh, this is a thing people need to hear. Maybe it'll give a little bit of hope. Maybe there won't be people out there that feel like they would be a benefit to their family if they weren't here. Maybe that kind of pain inside that just fucking shreds you. Maybe there can be some light to a point if you realize, like, this is a side effect. I don't know what else to use other than that word. Like, this is a cause and effect. This happened. This is an effect of that. This is still abuse. This is something that I need support with, but I fucking deserve support with. And that I can receive love and I can reach out to I don't know. I don't know what the fucking answer is behind here. I just figured out this connection. So I'm going to talk. And I'm going to ask for help. And I'm going to reach out because I still can't. So I can't get rid of those cups. I have the connection now, but that hatred for myself is so strong. And that's not going away right now. So I want some help for that. We need to figure out some help. We need to. People that feel this, because I know I'm not alone now. To know they're not alone. I need to stop talking for a minute.
Well, I can talk. I can say the words and the things. My brain wanted to go in a bunch of different directions as you were talking. And as you continue to talk, and when I say you got into it deeper, I mean, that's not a bad thing. But as you got deeper into it, I stopped doing that thing where I try to figure out what to say or how to say it or how to say it. so that it works for the podcast, and just listened. And I mean, I think you did a beautiful job of expressing it. You might feel silly now and that you were rambling and things like that, but anybody that listens to this and anybody that is listening to this definitely feels you and can feel the emotion behind everything.
Are you okay?
I'm very okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay.
You didn't know this is what I was feeling, and this is just what you've got now, and now you hear it with this. So like,
yeah, I mean, it's nice from that
okay?
perspective of, putting some pieces together for the past few months in some different ways, shapes and forms, right? Some context for some things, which is nice. But that weight that you talk about, that thing of not having anything left during the in-between times. I mean, I can relate to that. I can relate to that in so many ways, in so many different things. And I don't want to, this isn't me trying to turn around and talk about my story or anything like that. It's,
why not?
well,
relate to me.
I can relate to you. I can relate of the, just that sheer exhaustion that takes place after the fact and not having energy to do anything. I can relate to that in a bunch of different ways. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people don't talk about the toll of that and the toll, like the compounding. It's not just the compounding effects of trauma and abuse, but it's all the nuances and all the things that go into those things, right? Because you have compounding effects of the physical abuse and the emotional abuse and the sexual abuse and all the different types of abuses that you've experienced over the course of your life, and how all of those have just built and compounded upon each other. But then there's the times in between. There's the space in between all of those events and all of those moments, and the toll that those take and the compounding effects of those in between times. And nobody's talking about that. I think you're right. I don't think we're really looking at that in the sense of the realities of what that feels like and how that manifests and what you do with that. Because it is one thing to leave an abusive relationship. It is one thing to get out. It is one thing to keep your kids safe. It is one thing to do all of those things, right? Those things are very difficult and challenging and hard across the board for anybody. But then, yeah, what do you do after the fact? What do you do to deal with the compounding effects of all the in-between times and the weight of shame? I mean, the copious amounts of shame, right? And I mean, it's like you said, you need help. People need help. There's nothing wrong with reaching out for help. I wish help was easier. I wish it was something that people accepted more. I wish it was more readily available. And I wish help did not come with, I wish help wasn't stigmatized in some way, shape, or form, and that it was just more accepted. Because that whole concept and idea that we should know better, or that we should have it figured out, or that we don't need help, and I'll just figure this out on my own, or you should be stronger. I mean, there's just literally no area of life where that's applicable. None whatsoever at any stage of our life, right? So I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling now. I'm really grateful that you felt called to share this on the podcast. I'm really grateful that you have support and help right now in the ways that you do.
Me too.
I know that you feel really drawn to some women in your life right now that are helping you, and that makes me really, really happy. I think that's important. I got to a point in the last few months where I didn't know what else to do to help you. I felt helpless in helping you. I felt like I had reached a point where I just didn't know what to do anymore. And so I didn't stop. I just felt helpless. And so I'm really grateful that you are finding the help that you need and discovering the things that you need to discover so that you can process through everything. It seems to me like there's a part of you that this in-between time that you're talking about, the stuff that you're expressing now, is almost more of a challenge to move through than it is. I mean, like, if you think about a violent act, if you think about abuse, it's such a instantaneous thing that happens and takes place, right? And you can, in some way, shape or form, get over that and move past that point in a way where it doesn't have such a lasting. It's like the pebble that drops in the pond and then those ripples that, spread out. Sometimes I think that violence and physical abuse and abuse of any kind really is that initial pebble dropping into the pond and making a splash. And then it's those fucking ripples that continue on that seem like tidal waves. Yeah. That seem so insurmountable and, that we don't have the capacity to deal with the tiny little ripples. Because a ripple that starts from, it is a tidal wave in the beginning when that big boulder drops into the water. Yeah. But 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, it's just this tiny little wave disturbance in the calm pond. That's a silly metaphor, but
it's a good metaphor. Like, I mean, I can relate to it at least. I don't know like how other people, but there is that event and it's like you're not saying get over the event. That's not what it's like. But there is that part where you focus all of your healing. How do I get like this is where you're trying to look, and it's these events. I didn't fucking see it myself. I knew that I had hate for myself. I knew that I had all of this shame for the ways that I was useless or the ways that I coped in those down times with the boulder drop. All of those things that came up. And then it wasn't even like that. Then I've had throughout my life ridicule for all of my actions. Everything that I've done in those times where I'm not doing enough, where I need to be doing more. Everything comes and it's like that attack on those in-between boulder drops. And there can be one boulder drop and there can be a lifetime of them. But yeah, it's that you have those and you don't see what's happening with all the ripple effects. Like you talk about that being in the wake, but I have not done work on that because I didn't know. I just didn't know.
I think there's a part of it, dear, that it takes a certain amount of slowing down before you're even aware of it.
Yeah.
If you just look at it strictly from that kind of fight, flight, freeze response, survival response, it takes a certain level of being able to slow down and recognize things before you're able to really see where you're at and to start to see some of those effects. And I think that's evident now to where you're at. Your life is finally to the point. And it's not even your external life, right? You haven't been in an abusive relationship for a very long time. You haven't lived in an abusive environment for a very long time.
It took me almost a decade to slow down enough to see.
Yeah.
But the in-betweens, now this is a whole decade's worth of in-between, Yeah. And so I've used all of this that I've, since out of that space and how I've failed to make everything better. And I've failed to fix all of the shit that I let happen. And there's no other way to look at it than that, which even though it isn't true, my brain can't see it other than I let this go on. I let this happen. I didn't get out sooner. So all of that and all the ways that I have failed, that I haven't been able to make everything perfect, that I haven't been perfect since then, because this isn't, it was almost catastrophic. I'm sorry.
You don't need to be sorry. Stuff your sorries in a sack, mister. Like I said, I'm proud of you for sharing it on the podcast and also wanting to. Sometimes we avoid some of the really hard things that we're going through and dealing with and don't want to bring them to the podcast and talk about them, but I'm glad that you brought this one. Because I think there is a lot of people that need to hear it.
Yeah.
So, well,
I will hear people's in-betweens.
And it's okay, right?
Like, if you don't feel like there's a place you can go to, write a letter, write something, I will hear all of your in-betweens. I will hear that. And I will understand where you are. And I won't judge you, and I will hear you. Like, I obviously get help because I can't. Like, you need help. We all need help. But it starts off with having somebody hear you. And I was heard and I didn't know. And then somebody shared with me. I was like, oh my God.
I love you.
I love you.